Sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes here live on this Saturday morning, ready to talk some college football national championship. It's all set. We're going to have number 10 Miami versus number 1 Indiana, an ACC Big Ten matchup. We also got some other things we're going to be talking about on this show. Let's welcome in everybody. Let's help welcome in our man Parlay Poe of the Blitzburg Podcast. How you feeling, Parlay Poe?
Man, what's going down, man? I can't complain. Ain't anybody gonna listen to me. How y'all feeling this morning?
Oh, I'm good, Parlay Poe. I'm good. Good to see you in the house today, bro. We also got our man Post Game of the Post Game 86 Podcast. How you feeling, Post Game?
Man, how y'all doing, man? It's always a blessing to be on with y'all. It's good to see Parlay pull up in here, and let's roll.
All right, cool.
I think Rob dropped off, Poe.
Yeah. Dang, how you drop off that quick? So, he
My
about to come back in.
Yeah, my bad, my bad. I hit the wrong button, folks. Let's talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that game last night, man, and get our thoughts on Indiana. What's your thoughts on the Indiana's victory over Oregon,
Dang.
56-22 last night?
Is it? Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
This sound like a robot. Sound like a robot. Hey, Indiana looked elite last night, man. They looked elite, offense and defense. But for Miami, if you can't get no pressure on Mendoza, making back there reading zones and stuff, because he'd tear that apart. That back shoulder throw that he got, you could tell they've been doing that all year, because that's that time you play. That
Yeah, your thing is a little bit choppy, Parlay Poe. What's your thoughts on that game, post
is
game?
it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Man, I just gotta take my hat off to Kirk Signetti and that IU team, man. Who would have saw this coming? This hurricane coming. Um, man, the
Is
Indiana Hoosiers, a basketball team. Kirk Signetti goes there, and in 2 years, he's playing for a national championship game. Unbelievable job, man. I can't say enough about Kirk Signetti and what he's done for that program. Now, as far as the game goes last night, man, total domination, like Parlay Post said. I mean, for that first interception on, Oregon didn't have a chance. They didn't even look like they belong on the field with Indiana. Uh, just fundamentals, physicality, discipline. Like they just got it all. And if there's any more doubters left, I mean, how could you be a doubter, now with Indiana making it to the college football playoffs? There was a lot being said about Indiana's schedule. But again, I say, what does it matter if they're going to get in the playoffs and beat everybody? So you can make an argument about their regular season schedule, but it didn't matter. They got in the playoffs and beat everybody. So, I mean, Dante Moore, I would say one of my takeaways from the game last night is that Mr. Moore needs to remain in college for another year and continue to develop. Because if he gets it right, he should be the number one pick in the draft that he comes out of. But I mean, I can't say enough about this Indiana football team, man. Just offensively, defensively, special
what's wrong
teams,
with this one?
just dominant. And hats off to Kirk Signetti, man. Hell of a job.
Yeah, that Indiana team, man, and that coaching staff, they really have groomed these guys to understand and listen, we got to be disciplined. We got to make sure that we do everything the way it is designed to be done. And if we do that, teams are going to have a very difficult time competing with us. And we saw that in two playoff games so far, where they destroyed Alabama and then they destroyed Oregon yesterday. And we've seen them destroy teams during the regular season as well, because these guys are so precise at what they're being asked to do that they don't make mistakes. They don't allow you to capitalize on anything that they do if they do make a mistake. And we haven't seen very many mistakes made by this Indiana team. They got a really, really solid quarterback who parlay mentioned that back shoulder throw that he got in his arsenal, it is unstoppable, bro. It's unstoppable. Unless you got Deion Sanders as an all pro playing at the corner, you not stopping that back shoulder throw. And then they got Becker, who is long, who can also get down the field on you. That's a tough matchup for teams, man. Those two wide receivers that they have, and that two-headed monster they have at the running game, along with Mendoza being able to use his legs. They're going to be really, really tough. And their offensive line is so freaking jail that they don't make mistakes on the offensive line either. Miami's going to really have to have a game plan designed in order to beat those offensive linemen in that game on the 19th. One of the things that make Indiana so tough to beat.
I think coaching, and like you said, they don't be out of place. They do not be out of place. Like their linebackers and everything be where they supposed to be. I seen one time on the first drive when Johnson for Oregon caught the touchdown, the tight end. They was out of place right then and there. And after that, they corrected it, and they well coached, man. They disciplined. They hard out. Indiana is a hard out. I'm telling you that right now. It's going to be hard for Miami to beat them.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing that stands out for me when it comes to IU football is maturity. Of course, Signetti, the coaching and the coaching staff is on a whole nother level. It's unbelievable. But the maturity of the players that they've been able to assemble on that team is on another level. Also, you got to think they've been heavy in the portal since Signetti went to Indiana. A lot of these players are older and proven commodities on a college football team. So that maturity is being understated when it comes to analyzing these Indiana Hoosiers. The maturity of these teams, these are older players they've assembled for this program. So their maturity and discipline really stands out. And again, I can't say it enough. Hats off to Kurt Signetti, man. That dude, it has been in his bag, as they say.
Yeah, the point you made about them being an older team and being a more mature team is really becoming the formula for teams to get really to be really really competitive when they go into the portal, because they want to get guys who have playing experience, who are going to be able to come in and be a part of the depth of that program that they're going to. And Kirk Cincinnati has really laid out the formula for making that successful. And I really do believe that Miami's going to have a very, very, very difficult time competing with this Indiana team, simply because they don't make a lot of mistakes. Like Parlay Post said, they don't get out of position too often to where you can take advantage of things against them. If Miami has a formula, I'm waiting to see it, because I don't see anything that Miami can really do that I haven't seen Miami do yet that Indiana can't stop, that Indiana can't game plan for. So it's going to be a tough challenge for Miami to be able to do anything against them. But I want to get your thoughts on what would your game plan be to defeat Indiana, and are they even able to be defeated, man?
Man, I would have to. I'm putting. I make sure them tackles be on the island with them bookends Miami have, and you have to show Mendoza pressure. I'm talking. It's got to be pressure in his face. I'm talking like every down. Somehow you got to have it coming from everywhere. I would zone blitz him sometime. You know what I mean? Zone blitz him. I give him a whole bunch of different looks so he can't just get comfortable back there. He was real comfortable with Oregon's defense. That's what I would do.
Yeah, fellas. I mean, a game plan to beat those Indiana Hoosiers right now, easier said than done.
You're
Uh,
right.
e- Easier said than done. If I'm Miami, I think the only thing you can do to beat the Hoosiers is out physical them, because you're not going to out scheme them. You're not going to out game plan them. You're not going to outsmart them. You have to out physical them. And that's, I believe, Miami's only chance of winning this game. You have to be physically dominant. You have to kick their ass and able to beat this Indiana's team. Nobody's been able to do that all season long. And that's going to be a tall task. So, I mean, Cole mentioned it. Those two bookends for Miami have to have the game of their life. I think they got one thing in their favor is that they'll be at home for this game, which is that's really underrated in the national championship game. You get to be at home. That's an advantage. That's an advantage Miami, I gotta say. But Miami has to outfit. They gotta hit them. They gotta hurt them. Similar to those old school Pittsburgh teams, Poe. When y'all used to just crash people, man, crumble people, make them afraid to catch the ball. They have to be physically dominant and able to beat this Indiana team, and that's the only hope, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was coaching against this Indiana team. I would take a lot of what you both said already. The bookends got to get one on ones with those tackles. You gotta make sure that you give Mendoza as many different looks as possible to force him to have to do a lot of thinking pre-snap and then change some things up right when he snaps the ball, where your guys already know that, listen, if they in this formation, they might be trying to do this. We got to cover that. So hopefully Miami's coaches have been watching all the film on Indiana. Because the reality is Indiana's not going to be out of position and not going to make a lot of mistakes, but maybe you can out physical them for 4 quarters and wear them down in the fourth quarter and possibly steal a late victory over Indiana. And maybe you might be able to get the ball in space to Tony and some of those other guys to where they can make a guy miss and get some extra yards. But they got to make sure that they don't have any pre-snap penalties. You can't afford to be first and 15. You can't afford to have holding calls where you're first and 20, second and 17, that kind of stuff. And you got to make sure that you don't turn the football off or over. Keep the game close to where you can still lean on your running game. Because under no circumstance do you want to put this game in Carson Beck's hands to have to win it for you. You want to make sure you can stay balanced.
But think about Mendoza. Think about that Indiana line. They have a little slight flaw with their right tackle. He get a lot of pre-snap penalties. So get Mesner and Bain over there if they can do their thing. You know what I mean? it help him out. He had like he had like 6 one game. Well, no, as a whole they had 6, so he had like 3 of them. So you have to get them on them pre-snap penalties that he's worried about the pass rush.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Rob, that's a good point, man. They can't. I don't think. I don't think Carson Beck can win this game for Miami. Uh, Carson Beck has, and I don't mean this as a slight, but Carson Beck has to be an ultimate game manager in this national championship game. He can't sit back there and drop back 35, 40 times and expect not to have 3 or 4 interceptions. So this zone by Indiana is wicked. So they have to they have to be able to run the ball and hopefully some big plays on special teams.
Man, SEC Sean said, I think Miami has the physical ability to match Indiana on the line on both sides. And their ability to run the ball and control the clock is the most important for Miami. Yeah, I think we all agree with that one as well, SEC Sean. They got to be able to control this clock and keep Indiana on that freaking sideline, man. Otherwise, they're going to have some trouble. Do y'all think Miami has any advantages they can exploit against Miami? Paulie Poe mentioned that right tackle. Maybe they can exploit him. Is there anything else out there that Miami could possibly exploit against this team, this Indiana team?
Exploit? I don't know about exploit. I'm saying like Indiana's still a Big Ten team. You see they huffer down and ran the ball. They still want to run the ball though. You know what I mean? Like so that defensive line that when they do that 4-man front, if Indiana run at them, it's gonna be a long night. That's what Miami gonna have to worry about. They might have to go to a 5-2 if Indiana start running that ball like that with Black and Hamby.
Yeah, I agree. It isn't much they've given teams to exploit. I mean, every team has a weakness. I agree with that, but good luck trying to exploit Indiana and Kirk Signetti because they do a hell of a job of covering up those weaknesses and coaching. But I mean, I said it earlier, man. I think Miami has to out physical Indiana. They just got to. They gotta on both lines of scrimmages. They gotta be more. They gotta be the more physical team. And another advantage, as I mentioned earlier, is the fact that it'll be a home game for them. So that place should be rocking for the youth. So hopefully that translates to a mistake or two for Indiana, which doesn't happen often. But we'll see, man. I think Miami's only chance is to be the more physical team, man.
So do they national championship? They split the tickets down the middle.
That I don't know.
I think both universities get the same amount of tickets, but you got so many people who might not even be Miami fans, who might not even be Indiana fans, who are going to be at that game that are going to be able to get those other tickets. But I think each university gets the same number of tickets, and then the rest of them is just on the open market to be sold.
Yeah, because Indiana had a home game.
Yeah, they got a home game for sure. So they're going to probably try to soak up all those tickets that are out there, just out there for the general public that the university doesn't get for their alumni and boosters and all that other stuff who normally get those tickets that are being given to the university. Yeah. Let's welcome my man SEC Sean to the show. How you feeling this morning, SEC Sean?
Doing good. Still shocked about the result of that game last night, but wow. But hey, we got one game left.
we got one
Hope
game left.
everybody else having a good day today so far too.
We got
What's
our
going
man
on,
Donnell.
SEC, Sean?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, chilling.
Good.
We got our man Donnell Irvin in the chat. He says Indiana has to stop the U players at first contact. It's the second effort that pushes Miami past opposing teams. Their O-line pushes their running backs during yardage after contact. We saw that a lot in that game against Ole Miss, where their linemen were in the pile, pushing their running back to get extra yards. How do y'all feel about that technique that the Miami, really everybody uses that, but we see Miami really use it a lot here in that game against Ole Miss. Do you think they can take advantage of Indiana in that fashion?
Well, I mean, I think every team, of course, employs that strategy, but that's nothing but an effort play to have your big uglies running down the field. And I think both these teams do a great job with that. If you look at last night, Mendoza breaks off on a run, does some spin moves, gets hit, ball pops out, but who's right there to pounce on it? One of his linemen. That's not very rare that you see an offensive lineman 15, 20 yards downfield diving on a fumble. But these two teams seem to take that mindset as, hey, we got to go. And that's what I think that both sides – that this is probably going to be a really good game for the national title. These two teams have some of the same strengths. I don't know. This is going to be insane to watch, but I think both teams do it well. Just an effort play on my part.
Do y'all have any other thoughts on this Miami versus Indiana matchup?
Carson Beck can't lose the game.
Yeah.
He can't. Carson Beck can't be. He got to be the elite Carson Beck. He can't do 2 and 3 interceptions and think they still gonna be in this game.
You can't turn the ball over against Indiana.
No.
You look at what happened to Oregon. First play of the game, pick 6. Turn around, couple of fumbles by Moore, which, I get the running back hit him on one. That's kind of one of those fluky things, but it happens. And, you can't turn the ball over. Miami has to avoid all the stupid penalties they had against Ole Miss. It almost cost them. The late hits on the quarterback, the false starts, the jumping off side. You got to eliminate. They need to play a game like they played against A&M and Ohio State. Very few penalties, turnovers to a minimum, if any, and run the ball, control the clock. That's what they have to do. Because that Indiana offense, if you get them cooking, this game's going to get out of hand fast. Ask Oregon.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's going to be interesting to see Miami's game plan and if they're able to remain disciplined or play disciplined. They have to be disciplined playing the Indiana team like this. Also, Indiana likes to play a lot of zone coverage. Can they get those receivers down the field? Can they get those receivers in the middle of the field? We know the weaknesses of a zone coverage, but that's easier said than done because that pass rush is vicious. So I want to see how disciplined Miami lines up and plays come this national championship game. And are they able to get the ball past that zone coverage of Indiana?
I
Yeah.
want to see if Miami can find a scheme to where when Indiana pull their linemen on those run plays, on some of those traps and some of those gaps and some of those run plays that they do Miami have the athletes up front who can get in those creases when that lineman pulls? Can they get up in upfield and get up in those creases and sort of disrupt their run game in the backfield, as opposed to letting those linemen get to their destination on the pull and get position on a linebacker or defensive back? I wonder if Miami can take advantage of Indiana in that fashion. Do they got the guys up front to do that? And will they sort of move Bane and Messador around, maybe have them on on the same side sometimes, and sort of create some matchup advantages for them to get some one-on-ones with a guard or with the tackle to where they
Yeah,
can take advantage of some things and disrupt what Indiana wants to do offensively. We all agree that they got to get pressure on Mendoza. They can't allow that guy to sit back there. He has more touchdowns than I think he has incompletions. So they're going to have to find a way to get pressure on this guy organically and then sprinkle in a little bit of, like Paulie Poe said, zone blitzes and things of
yeah.
that.
Let me ask you a question. If y'all advising Dante Moore, what are you telling him to do? You tell him to go to the draft, or he needs to stay one more year?
He needs to stay one more year, but you got to see what's coming in with that Neil stuff. You know what I mean? Because that Neil, everything is surrounded by who you paying and who you got in the portal. Hey, I'm about to pull up to my little cousin's b-ball game, y'all. I'm out of here. I want to
All
come
right.
on for a second.
All right. Thanks for jumping in, Paulie Pro. We
Yeah,
appreciate that, bro.
for
Good luck on
sure.
his game, and it was good to see you, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Peace, y'all.
Peace,
All
brother.
right.
Um, I, I think the key for Miami is Keontae Scott. Um, he plays the run well, and he blitzes well. I think the D line for Miami can hold up against Indiana's O line. Um, I'm really concerned though about that number 99 for Miami D lineman. He has a bad ankle he's playing on. I'm curious on that. He went out of the game after the first play for Indiana. If you remember on offense, he was just on the ground and he's like, I can't go. He did come back in the game, but I don't know. This is going to be. I'm going to have to do some more digging into this. I've seen Miami up, personally with playing A&M in the first round. Miami can be got with zones too, crosses across the middle. That's how A&M started moving the ball at the end of the game. Was a lot of mesh concept and crossing routes and things like that. But you got to have time to get the ball off. And Indiana's D line's pretty good too, so it's going to be real interesting. But I still think Keontae Scott is the key to this game, and if he can come down and run support.
Yeah. If I'm Dante Moore, to answer your question post game, I'm coming back for another season. I'm a firm believer in, if you're a quarterback in college, you really want to play 2 seasons where you're a starting quarterback. You want to play 25 plus games. I'm a firm believer in, if you can get you 25 plus games of college starting experience, you can be better suited to go into the NFL ready to play when your number is called. So I think you should stay. There just happens to be this guy named Arch Manning who's coming out next year with the name. So he doesn't have to worry about being the number one pick, but he does have to come back for another season and play. Dante Moore, that is, in my opinion, to sort of give yourself an opportunity to be better prepared to take over a team when his number is called in the NFL. And hopefully he can land at a spot where he doesn't have to come in and be the savior. He can come and learn maybe for another year for a year in the NFL and then possibly get some playing time, maybe during the end of that season, and be able to do some things to get his NFL career started. But I definitely believe he should come back next year and try to get 25 plus games of experience in college.
No, I agree, but here's the other end of it. When we talk about next year, not this coming year's draft, but next year's draft, oh my goodness, that draft class is going to be loaded at the quarterback position. You talk about guys like Julian saying, perhaps CJ Carr, guys like Lagway. You know that draft class when it comes to the quarterback position is going to be loaded. So if you're Dante Moore, do you get out when you're guaranteed a top 2 or 3 draft position, or do you stay in school and develop? But that next QB class is gonna be something crazy, bro.
It's going to be something crazy, Coach Game, and I'm glad you brought that point up because it's going to be a bunch of guys in that draft. You know what the great thing about that is, though? If you get drafted later on in that first round, you're going to a team where you don't have to be the savior. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be Cam Ward and have to put the Tennessee Titans on your back. You can go to a team and learn and get better acclimated to what the system is at the NFL team you're at. I think it's just a better situation. Now, money wise, you're gonna probably have to wait until that second contract to really get what you want, but it's probably a better situation to not be the number one or the highest picked quarterback in the NFL draft. And I think for those quarterbacks who are going to be in that thing, I would like for them to think like that. Listen, I don't want to be the first quarterback pick because of the money. I want to go to a really good situation.
See, then I forgot this question when I spoke a minute ago. I think everything I'm hearing is he's the first or second quarterback off the board. It's either Mendoza or him. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
You got to go. Next year, I mean, you mentioned Lagway, Carr, saying you didn't even mention the possibility of an Arch Manning, Lenoris Sellers, Brendan Sorsby, Sam Levitt, possibly even a Marcel Reed. We didn't even get into all those guys, plus whoever else is out there. What's Gunnar Stockton in Georgia could be back. You know, I mean, you're talking. There's a few quarterbacks out there this year, but next year is a loaded quarterback draft. You have to determine what's in his best interest, and he needs to trust his people that are around him to help make that decision on, look, you can go in the first round this year, but you might, if let's say he backtracks and has a bad year last year. Look what happened to Nussmeier or Klubnik. What if that happens to Moore and all of a sudden he goes from the first or second quarterback pick to the fifth or sixth and he's in the second or third round? You've cost yourself tons of money now. So to me, I've always been a firm believer of strike while the iron's hot. And I think he needs to go. I think he'd be really good for college football in Oregon to come back, but for his best interest, if he wants to go somewhere and get money, I think he needs to go.
Yeah. Man,
Good
just think
question.
about I'll let you ask that question after I say this post. So
Go
don't
ahead,
forget it.
bro.
Don't forget that question. Don't forget it. Could you imagine what college football is going to look like next year, bro, with those quarterbacks, man? It's going to be unbelievable. All of those quarterbacks getting another year under their belt. Some of them at the same school, some of them going to different schools. Could you imagine how good Marcel Reed is going to be next year after seeing the jump that he made this past season? The way you see Arch Manning get it together the second half of the season, if Dante Moore decides to come back, Lagway going to a new situation, man. Oh, it's going to be unbelievable, man. I'm looking forward to next football season like I do every season. But thanks for letting me take that time, post-game. Go ahead with your question.
No, you good, bro. Yeah, man, that's a heck of a point, man. Like, man, that like if you think about the Heisman race, like, cause the same thing we did last year. We can say a lot of these guys in their situation, but who's the quarterbacks who are going to fall off or get injured or this or XYZ happens and then their season doesn't end up being what we thought it would be. But man, just on paper and looking forward, the quarterbacks next season is going to be unbelievable. So my question was going to be Trinidad Chambliss. It doesn't look like he's going to be granted another year. I know he's still fighting for that, but it's not looking good. Where does he end up in this year's draft? Like, how much did his stock increase? Where would you take him? Is he competing with those other two quarterbacks if Dante Moore enters his name? Because I was impressed by Chambers, like big time.
I think Chambliss definitely increased his draft stock. I think he's probably mid-second round, maybe mid to high third round. That's where I see him. Here's the problem. I think he's coming back. And here's why. The NCAA denied it. But now it's going to a Mississippi court to determine it. Now, let's be real. There's a little bit of bias, I'm sure, in that courtroom. If they have the ability to give this kid another year, they're going to. So we need to wait and let that play out. If he's granted, of course, he's going back to Ole Miss. If he's not granted, then I still mid to second round, day 2 type draft pick, somewhere in that range is what I see with Chambliss. As far as what Rob said about what's college football going to look like next year, I'm beginning to wonder with all these transfers, are we going to start having teams look like these East-West Shrine games where they all have their own helmets and everybody's got different helmets on? They got the same jersey, but they all wearing their old helmet. I don't – this is getting insane, guys. Once you answer, Rob, I got a question that I saw pop up that I'd like to get y'all's opinion on. So I'll let you take this one, and then I'll bust one out.
What was your question again, post game? I'm a little bit old and I forgot.
Trinidad Chambliss, if he doesn't have another year of eligibility, how much did he help his draft stock, and where would you see him? How high could he be drafted in your opinion?
He helped his draft stock tremendously this past season. His ability to extend plays and keep his eyes down the field, and then throw some really, really accurate balls to guys that were there to catch them. I think he helped his draft stock tremendously. If I'm a GM and I want to get me a quarterback that I can bring into my organization that I don't need to play right away, I'm hoping that he falls to me the late second round, third round. I think he'll probably be gone by the middle of the second round, but the value that you getting him in the third round, man, will be unbelievable. And I think that's about where he gets drafted. I don't think he creeps up into the first round unless he goes to the combine and does something dynamic there that really turns some of those scouts' heads. And maybe he can squeeze into a late first round. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I see mid-second round, late second round, early third round.
So I saw this put up the other day. It's comparative of two teams. And it's this year's Indiana team. Is this year's Indiana team, in your mind, better than the 2019 LSU team?
Man, that's a good question. Complete team? Yes. Because you're talking about offense and defense. Yes, they're a better team than that LSU team completely as a whole. But most times when you think about that LSU team, you think about the fact that offensively, you ain't going to be able to stop these dudes, man, because they're going to put up 40, 50 points on you. And could this Indiana team stop them from putting up 40, 50 points? I don't think so. I don't think so. But as a complete team, I would say that this Indiana team is a better team than that LSU team because their defense wasn't that good. But if you just
Man,
think offensively, LSU all day, bro.
I mean, great points, Rob. I don't have a dog in this fight. Uh, I'm not biased towards the Big Ten. I'm not biased towards the SEC. I agree with you that Indiana is all in all the more complete team, but the fact that that LSU team had Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Joe Burrow slinging the rock, I'm not going against that. I just can't. I
Yeah.
can't do it. I can't.
If they
That's
play, I'm picking LSU to win. That's for sure.
if they play, I'm taking the over. I don't care if the points is over under is 90. I'm taking the over. I think that's a really good comp for as long as far as complete team. I don't know. I mean, Indiana's D line is probably better than LSU's at that year, but LSU has some DBs too. So, but as far as offensive comparison, man, that's tough. But I'd still I have to lean LSU. I mean, you're looking Burrow, Chase, Jefferson. I'd have to go look at the roster. There was a couple other receivers, a running back. I mean, that team was stacked.
I believe
I
they
saw
had
it last
Randy
night. I
Moss.
thought it was a go ahead. Sorry, Post.
Yeah, they
No,
have Randy Moss tied in.
yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I had to say that I think they had Randy Moss son at tight end.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Yeah. That team was just that's still probably the best offense I think I've ever seen in college football. And I've been, I'm over 50 years old. I've seen a lot of college football. But yeah, I saw that pop up last night and I was like, you know what? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because Indiana has dominated everybody they've played. And so did that LSU team. So I was like, yeah, okay. So just something that kind of popped out that I was curious.
Yep. What's your thoughts on all of these players out there in the portal who we know are not going to find a home before winter session starts? So once winter session starts in a couple of weeks for these universities, a lot of these players are not going to find a home yet. They're not going to find a home until the end of that semester or that end of that quarter. What do you think teams are going to be looking for in the portal to help their team build depth?
Maybe, you know, maybe some players that are, if you talk about depth building, players coming up from, smaller schools, D2, D3, whatever you want to call them, and aren't necessarily looking for a starting role, but just a chance to compete on a higher level, and who in their own right are probably good athletes. Probably was the best player on their team at a smaller school, but doesn't quite have the athleticism or the size or the strength to start at a big D1 school. Players like that, maybe a little older in age can help with the depth on the team. But I gotta tell you, man, with that many players in the transfer portal and this little time to find a team, like man, it's gonna be really interesting because maybe some of the players transferring from these bigger schools will have to settle going to a smaller school because they weren't picked up. But as far as depth, man, you got to find players who probably weren't recruited D1 out the gate, in that type of scenario and find depth pieces.
See, I think some of these players, your top end, your Cam Coleman's, your people like that. I think those guys need to make a decision because here's the reality. You got Cam Coleman sitting right here, right? The number 2 just entered the portal, Isaiah Horton from Alabama. He's actually on A&M's campus now. But he's here. So if he's 3 million, let's say Cam Coleman, and he's 2, now I can get him plus maybe a Singleton out of Auburn for one. Now I've got 2 for the price of 1. So that's where you're getting your depth. Defensive linemen, you can never have too many. You gotta stack depth there so you can rotate. I'm gonna tell y'all a name that I'm really interested to watch, and he's from Hope College. Okay, his name is Liam Danitz, maybe. He's an edge rusher. Runs a 10.55 in the 100, 20.92 in the 200, and had 21 tackles for loss and 15 sacks last year. He entered the portal last night and has already received tons of Power 4 D1 offers. You get a guy that fast off the edge. I'm curious.
What's his measurables, Sean? What's his measurables?
Let me see if I can pull him up real quick. Let me see.
Okay. But while he's doing that, I really feel like these guys who do not find a home soon, and they end up having to wait until after this next semester is over, then that means you miss spring ball. And you don't get a chance to put your name in the hat, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? To see where you're going to fit in with this team. Now you come in during summer workouts and in fall ball, and now you behind the 8 ball at that point, man. And I feel like a lot of these guys may have did themselves a disservice by jumping in the portal, unless their ideal is, okay, I'm a smaller school guy, I'm gonna jump in this portal to see who bites. If don't nobody bite, I'm just gonna go back to my school. If they're gonna do that, cool. If their school will still take them back. But outside of that, man, I think they really have to be paying attention to the fact that, listen, I might not end up anywhere, and I might end up like the guy last year who went in the portal, or the group of guys last year who went in the portal that never found a home. Sometimes you got whoever your rep is or whoever your agent is, you gotta ask them some really difficult questions to make sure that that's the best choice for you. And I hate to see that these young people are going to be going out like that, man.
He's 6'5", 230.
Okay. Yeah, they got to put some weight on him, but that 6'5" frame is nice.
And he played some running back too.
Yeah, if they can put about 15, 20 pounds on him, he could be nice.
Now it's a name to watch because he's asking. I think he needs another year to play if he's granted it. I think he's in one of those trying to get an extra year to move up, kind of like a Chambliss did. So we'll see what happens there. But if not, they said he's already trying to contact other colleges in the area to join their pro day, because Hope College isn't going to have a pro day. So he'd have to go to another school to try to join it. And, most coaches will let that happen.
Yeah. Toe Life channel 3679 says he has the U 100%. Hopefully, Toe Life, you'll be able to tune in when we do our preview on that game later on next week. Hopefully, you can tune in and add some statements and some questions to our podcast at that time. We'll probably do it on next Saturday, right before they're going to play that game on that Monday. So hopefully you'll be able to tune in then. But we're glad that you got the U. We know several people that got the U as well. We'll let you know who we got on next Saturday for sure at 10 a.m.
I'm already telling you, I got the U. I'm picking the U because I have to. They beat us.
I gotta pick the U too because I do not want to hear those Big Ten guys talking that shit. So I'm picking the U too.
Come on, these Big Ten guys we got on here, they're gonna talk it anyway.
Hey, listen, they toning down a little bit, bro. They toning down a little bit because they Buckeyes went out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Y'all know, here's a fun fact about Indiana football. Do you know that Indiana has to go 192-0 to equal 500 in their all-time record.
Wow.
That's insane.
Which one of these is probably the greatest story between, or whose destiny is the greatest between Miami, who has not won in over 20 years, and Indiana, who nobody ever would have thought would ever be in this position? Which one is the greatest destiny? It's my destiny to win this game. Who y'all got?
I'm a I'm gonna go quite easily for me. I'm gonna go Indiana, man, because I mean, look at that stat SEC Shine just ran off. Like I've said it before, never ever in my lifetime did I expect to see Indiana football at this level. So I'm gonna go with Indiana, and I don't think it's quite close. I mean, Miami is a great story too in their own right, but the U is the U. We expect them, even if they haven't been good, to be good at some point. So I'm gonna go with IU.
See, I think it's Indiana easily. Miami's had all the talent in the world every year. They've just underachieved. But Indiana, when we mentioned Indiana, everybody assumed basketball, right? That's it. But now Kurt Signetti's got that thing switched around. So it's definitely them. I know that there's some people that probably on the street corners down in Miami that hope Miami wins since Michael Irvin's going to be down there, but that's a whole different subject. But yeah, I don't know. Indiana's by far the best story of this. I mean, there's and it's not close. Especially had Indiana started creeping up and gone from like 5 wins and then 7 wins and then 9 wins and then 12. Okay, but for Signetti to be there 2 years, same pretty much time frame as Elko. I think he got hired a little earlier in the season than Elko did, so he had a little more time. But he just built. And I saw a quote from him yesterday that all these kids that transferred in there that he's pulled in over the past 2 years, he said, I sat down and watched film on every one of them before I even offered them. Most coaches aren't doing that. They're just looking at the measurables and the stats and the numbers and the stars. He doesn't care about your star rating. You can be a 5-star. You can be a 0-star. If he looks at you and says, oh, you can ball in my system, he's going to bring you. And that's a mark of a good coach.
Yeah. Donnell said Indiana, they are known for basketball. I'm saying Indiana as well. The thing that is so kind of upsetting about the whole thing is here I am as a Texas fan, and the freaking Indiana Hoosiers, a basketball school, has a chance to go 16-0 and win the national championship. And my Longhorns haven't been able to win it since 2005 or whenever that was. And it's like, man, no one would have ever believed that Indiana would be in this position right now, and they are. And I think that what Kurt Signetti is doing is, like I said earlier in the show, he's giving everybody the formula. Listen, you need experienced guys. You can no longer think that you can go out there with this 4-star, 5-star guy who is young, who has a lot of talent and a lot of upside, and think you're going to win against these well-seasoned guys who have played in 30 and 40 games, who are so experienced that they know what they're doing and they know where to be, and they're not going to make the simple mistakes. A lot that you've seen with a lot of these really talented teams who were young was those guys did not have the discipline. They made boneheaded mistakes. And so Indiana is one of those teams who was very veteran and very mature, and they don't make boneheaded mistakes. And I think coaches that are out there in the portal now looking for guys, they're looking for guys who have played a lot of football or guys who know that, listen, I'm going to go to this university, but I know I'm not going to play right away. I got to get some experience. I got to get some more training, some more development, and then I'll get to play. But I'll be in that system for a while, and I'll be ready to go when my time comes. Or they're finding guys, like I said, that are very veteran, that have played a lot of football, who are not going to make those boneheaded mistakes.
Rob, I feel your pain, but can you imagine how I feel? Listen, man, IU not only it looks like, and I'm not gonna make my prediction yet, but they have a chance to win the national championship before my Irish, and they get a Heisman Trophy winner before my Irish in years. So I feel your pain, man, but you know what they say, misery loves company. But as far as as far as IU is concerned, my thoughts are is Signetti kind of changing the game? Because you got to think, Indiana's high school recruiting rankings were like in the 30s, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm curious to see if they can sustain their success, just making veteran moves in the transfer portal. I'm not saying they can't because Signetti has definitely proved that he can. But in the long run, it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out because Signetti isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So it seems like what they're doing is focusing on the transfer portal and not so much high school recruiting. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out in the long run. And it could work for them.
See, I think my take on that, and that's a good point with their recruiting post, is I'm not putting as much stock in high school recruiting class rankings anymore because you're probably not going to keep half those kids anyway. So, yes, it's important. Oh, it looks good. Hey, we got the number 3 class. Yeah, well, 27 of them have just left. So that 3 ranked class is now 57th ranked. So it's a matter of retention of them. I think Signetti's made a lot of good additions through the portal because I think Signetti looks for IQ guys. You hear it all the time. He's got a high football IQ. I think that's what he looks for. And then he'll work with whatever talent you bring as long as you know where you're supposed to be, how to be there, and when to be there. He'll work with whatever physical traits you bring. This is apparently I have too much free time on my hands, but here's another fun fact about what Rob mentioned. Indiana can go 16-0. And as far as misery loves company, I'm the most miserable. 1939. Now, we have had a Heisman Trophy winner recently, but yeah. So let's not talk about past championships, please, because that makes me want to cry. But here's a real crazy fun fact. Can anyone name the last team to go 16-0 in college football?
I definitely can.
I can't, but I'm gonna take a stab at it, and I'm gonna say Miami.
You want to take a stab, Robert?
I'm going to say Texas. Hell.
Yale, 1894.
Yeah. You know, I was going to say one of those Ivy League schools, but I just didn't think they played that many games
I didn't either. And apparently they did that year, and I was like, wow. But yeah, Yale, 1894 was the only team to ever go 16-0 in college football. And unfortunately, I don't think they're sitting around with bottles of champagne like the Miami Dolphins ready to, celebrate somebody losing. So, yeah.
Let me ask y'all this question, man. And this could be the last question that we have. We're right up at 1 hour. Do y'all see the landscape of college football recruiting going away from recruiting a high school guy who is 5-star, 4-star, and paying them a lot of money to get them to come to your university, when now we're starting to see guys who are coming in highly rated like that are now starting to jump in the portal after 1 year on your campus. Why do you want to spend that kind of money on a guy? And if they're going to jump in the portal, do you think the landscape of college football when it comes to high school recruiting is going to probably start going away from that and just wait to get that guy later on down the line once he jumps in the portal?
I think it's year to year and it's school to school, especially because I think we all can agree that the transfer portal is going to get more strict as time goes on. A lot of these players won't be able to transfer as much as they are now. Man, you seeing guys on their 415 different teams. They've been abusing the transfer portal. But I think it just depends on the program. Like a team like a Notre Dame is going to rely heavily on high school recruiting. Some other teams may rely heavily on the portal. It's a case to case scenario.
Yeah, that's sometimes I hate following post game because he takes all my points. But I think that's why me and post game have to alternate once in a while because I think we do it to each other a lot. I think high school recruiting is still going to be important. I think high school recruiting is going to be where you build your depth. I don't think you're going into high school recruiting thinking you're going to get all these 5 stars and plug and play immediately just to keep them. I think you're going to use them for depth, and the ones that want to stay will stay, and the ones that want to go will go. And you're going to use your portal to fill in for experience. I mean, it's bad, but I agree with like Post. I mean, like in states like Texas, California, Florida, Ohio, Georgia, high school recruiting is still going to be hugely important to keep depth. But again, how many of them are you going to keep? And this is where there has to be some sort of justification. If you can't pay, and I'm going to throw his name out there because he's, Jeremiah or Malachi Tony or whatever, or Jeremiah Smith coming out of high school. You can't pay those kids $7 million out of high school. You don't know what they're going to do. I mean, yeah, they've turned out to be amazing and phenomenal, but how many of those stories haven't? How many 5 stars haven't lived up to the hype? So I mean, I don't know. I think you're going to see a landscape. There has to be some sort of governance on this. And as far as this portal goes, I still say what I said last night on our show, Rob. 1 transfer for free, second one you lose a year.
Yeah, man. Toll Life Channel 3679 said, I'm not going to lie, I like the portal. Gives players that would normally fade out a chance to shine. Yeah, in cases we have seen that happen, Toll Life. So we like it for that reason as well. I think for the question that I asked, I think a lot of times or lately we're going to probably, or upcoming, we're going to probably see coaches, when it comes to offensive linemen, yes. When it comes to edge rushers, yes. But when it comes to wide receivers and running backs that come a dime a dozen, I don't know if they're going to necessarily go after those 5-star guys unless maybe they're Malachi Tony or Jeremiah Smith. Because you can find a really good wide receiver and a running back a dime a dozen. And I think it's probably going to be, like post-game said, situationally, year to year, school to school, but I also think position-wise it's probably going to be that way as well. Because I'm not, as a Texas Longhorns fan, I don't want them taking a risk on a wide receiver or a running back Like in the case of Jamie French, who was only on campus 5-star guy for 1 year, or high 4-star guy for 1 year. We bring him in because we need a wide receiver help that year, and we knew we had some guys that were going to be going elsewhere. We need a guy. We bring in 3 dudes, and well, 4 dudes total. And Dylan McCutcheon, uh, Jamie, Jamie French, Locke, and then Michael Terry. We bring in these 4 guys, and but French decides he's going to be the odd man out. He's going to go. But we done gave him this money for what? He never did anything for the University of Texas outside of being on the sideline and maybe cheering some guys on. So I think that as a Texas fan, I want them to get away from guys with wide receiver position and running back. Maybe you'll go all in on your corners, your defensive ends, and defensive tackle, of course, and the trenches on offensive line, and quarterback, of course. But some of those positions you can leave out the equation, man, because you can get them in the portal.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, yeah, I mean, I rock with the transfer portal heavy. I just believe there are going to be some stricter laws being implemented coming down the pike. I don't think we're going to. I think in the next couple of years we're not going to see players going 4, 5, 6 different teams in their college career. I think that's going to be a wrap.
I agree. I think colleges are going to start figuring out a way to say, look, you can come here, but if you come here as a freshman, say out of the transfer portal, and you got 3 years left, there's going to be a contract that says you're here 3 years. I'm not paying you $8 million to bounce next year. My theory on it. Quick plug for a game today, if y'all are interested. There's the Army Navy game, high school, the All American Army Navy, or Navy All American Bowl, whatever it's called now. That's on today. I'm going to be watching that because we got 2 receivers and a run and a cornerback in that game. The kid from Ohio's in that game, Brandon Arrington, the cornerback. It's been the number 1 cornerback at the thing, and the 2 receivers, we got Williams and Gregory. They've both been the top 2 or 3 receivers all week out there. So that's why I'm not too worried about this Cam Coleman thing. I think what we've got coming in, we got Craver back, we got ABR back in his sophomore season. We still got Terry Bussey, who I'm waiting to break out. We got Jerome Miles. We got cats at receiver. So Cam Coleman would just be icing on the cake. I think it'd be icing on the cake for post games Notre Dame. I think it's for you, Robert. I think you've got depth at that position. That's just a bonus, is all he is. You got an extra sprinkle on your cupcake with him. That's what you got.
Yeah, I'm looking for Terry Bussey to break out too, man, because I know we were highly going after him to come to Texas, and he chose A&M over Texas. But I don't know how familiar you all are with this question or this statement that Donnell put out there. He said, just imagine if Ohio State would have grabbed Eric Williams, the tackle that played for the Dallas Cowboys, Hugh Douglas, the linebacker who played for the Philadelphia Eagles, and Vince Buck, who played cornerback for the New Orleans Saints. All of those guys came out of Central State, which we all know is an NAIA school, who is way down the totem pole. But all 3 of those guys were hella good NFL players. Vince Buck, of course, got hurt. He hurt his neck maybe in his 3rd season, and he didn't have as long a career. But Hugh Douglas and Eric Williams were 2 great football players who came out of Central State University. So what do y'all think about guys like that who are down there in NAIA schools who maybe couldn't get the grade, but are on the NFL roster, I mean on the NFL's radar, but can't get to, or didn't have a chance to get to a Division I Power 4 school?
Well, that's what it was back then. I mean, go back to what was the guy's name? Harvey Martin.
Yeah.
Played for the Cowboys. He went to what was then called East Texas State University, which was an NAIA school. They won the national championship. That school has now become what is known as, well, it was Texas A&M Commerce, and now it's East Texas A&M. But he was there, and they found him. But back then, schools didn't, colleges didn't go look for those little bitty players. There was no really big transfers going on either, though. So if you want to put the era together, I mean, you would have had super teams back in the 70s and, 80s. These kids would have been transferring all over the place. You could have had something like, Notre Dame could have had Tim Brown and the Rocket and, Charles Woodson, all on one team. You could have had these like just super stacked teams. So you could make the same comment. I see his point. You could make the same comment for almost every college. I mean, Cam Newton played JUCO at Blinn College, right down the 30 minutes from Texas A&M. What if he would have gone there that year? Does A&M win the national title? What,
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything SEC Sean just said. I mean, it's just another case of the rich getting richer. You got to have a heck of a scouting department to find those type of players in the first place. And I question how much effort some of these teams actually put into finding those type of players. Because some teams do it great, some teams do it not so great. So it's just another case of the rich getting richer. That's all.
All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate y'all jumping on with us this morning, and everybody out there in the chat. Make sure you like, subscribe. We have all of our channels scrolling across the bottom. You got our man Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10. So go to Level Up Sports 10 and subscribe to his channel. Hit the notification bell. You got my man SEC Sean on the screen. Go to his channel and hit the notification bell. And hit the subscribe button. We got our man Post Game of the Post Game 86 podcast on the show with us right now. Go to his channel and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We also got our man Parlay Poe in the Blitzburg podcast, and also our man One Take Zay. Go to all of those channels and subscribe and hit the notification bell. So anytime we're going to do content, and we'll be right back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and join us. Talk some ball with us, talk some sports with us, because as football season is coming to a wrap, we got to have some other stuff to talk about, like basketball, baseball, volleyball, any sport that's out there. So join us and hit the like button, subscribe, and anytime you want to give a super chat, we're here for that too. So y'all have a good rest of y'all's evening. Day. Enjoy your afternoon. Have a good time. If it's raining in Columbus, Ohio, so we ain't gonna be able to do too much outside. But if you can get outside too. All
for
right,
sure.
y'all.
Stay
I'll
locked
catch
in,
y'all
guys.
later.
Y'all be good. Be careful. Be safe.
All right.
We got some NFL football tonight, this afternoon, too.
Yeah, we sure do.
Playoff games today, brother.
All right.
Peace, Post. Be good.
All right. All right, y'all. Peace.